So, yesterday we talked about delegating responsibilities and inaugurating committees. Today, we're going on to talk about empowering and equipping board members to succeed. So, you've delegated responsibilities to board members, you've inaugurated committees where board members can band together to achieve certain results. How then do you ensure that these board members follow through on their responsibilities? How then do you make sure that these committees do what they are supposed to do? So that's where empowering and equipping board members to succeed comes in. You've delegated responsibilities. How do you help them follow through? Because if you think about it clearly, you've seen that some organizations tend to get this step right, where they get to delegate some responsibilities to board members. But again, you find out that these board members do not, follow through on their responsibilities, leaving the founder, the CEO, the board chair frustrated, right? So, what is the missing link, and how can you get them to follow through so that they can be able to help you create results? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So the very first step to empower and equip your board members is to actually equip them. So for example, if you're expecting a board member to introduce the organization to their network, you should be able to have that messaging available to them, that if you are asking board members to make an appeal from their network, you should be able to provide them some sort of fundraising appeal that they can put out there. You don't want them going out there, and that's when they start thinking of, how do I put the appeal together? What content do I even send out? By allowing them go that route, you are most likely leaving them to, self-help. And most times when people find themselves in those situations, they don't take action. Sometimes they don't even know why they are not taking action, but the truth is because they don't have the tools they need to be successful. They don't even know how to go about creating those tools. So you have to make sure those tools are ready and created, right? So that when they go out there, they have the tools available to them to help you achieve the goal, whether it's raising money, introducing their network to the organization, just building partnership for the organization, whatever the responsibilities you've delegated to them, or whatever responsibilities that these committees have to carry out. You make sure they have the tools, the infrastructure to carry out those mandates successfully. So that's the very key step in empowering your board members. If you're missing this step, of course, you find out that your board members may not follow through as much as you want them to. But by equipping them, providing them the tools, providing them the resources they need, they are more likely to follow through and help you create results. The second step of the process is onboarding them to execute. So you've created these tools, you've provided these resources, these infrastructures. Of a reality, many board members don't even know how to use these tools. So they have the tools, but they still don't know how to use these tools. So, for example, the fundraising appeal, some board members may not know that that's not the first message you send out there. You probably have some messaging that has to go into it before you send out an appeal. So you need to be able to educate them, train them on how to use these tools you're providing them with. Sometimes you may provide them with a directory of people to steward. You need to be able to help them, understand the directory. What are the first names, the email, call, the numbers to call. You need to be able to onboard them on these tools you provided them. You need to be able to show them how to use these tools. That's really what onboarding means. Onboarding them on the tools so that they know how to use the tools you've provided them to create results. So onboarding them to execute is one key aspect to be able to build their capacity to support you. Familiarizing them with tools, with the resources, with the infrastructures available within the organization is a key strategy to ensure that happens. The third step is training. You've been able to onboard them on the tools, but again, some people may not really know how to really execute, right? So that's really where training comes in. Training is like onboarding, but training is a step further. So, for example, if you're asking your board members to go out there to go talk to people, you should be able to train them to be able to do so. If you're asking a board member to go into a meeting to go negotiate corporate funding, you should be able to train them on how to present, how to negotiate the funding, and whatever process that has to go into that. Some people may be good in some area. Let's say, for example, a board member may be good in marketing, but it doesn't mean they are good in marketing around fundraising. So it means you need to be able to train them what marketing means in fundraising. Training is a key step. In short, organizations that train their boards are more likely to be successful than organizations that do not train their board. So you have to be able to train them after onboarding them on it so that they know the exact steps to take and how to take it so that they can be able to support your organization. The fourth step of the process is recruiting volunteers, stakeholders, staff, to join the committees. You talked about creating committees, inaugurating committees yesterday. Once you've inaugurated these committees, you don't just expect board members to be within these committees and take on all the tasks. You can bring in volunteers to support these board members within this committee so that they can be able to, these volunteers could do the heavy lifting and then the board members provide direction, supervision, and insight. Or you could bring in stakeholders who are, experts in their industries, in their field, so as to support these board members within these committees. So, for example, a committee that's in charge of curriculum development for a school, you could go bring a curriculum development expert to join the committee, right, as a stakeholder so that they can provide expert advice to help the committee create better results. So that's one way you get to empower them. Bring in staff to take off the heavy load off their desk so that they can focus on those top areas where they can really create value for the organization. So by bringing in volunteers, stakeholders, and officers, management team to be able to support these committees, you are of course empowering them and equipping them to be successful. The fifth step of the process is putting them in position of leadership. So you've inaugurated committees, make them the leader of the committee, make them the chair of that committee, so that they can have total control of that committee, thereby reporting back to the board as it's supposed to be. Because committees don't actually work alone. When they work, they come back to report to the board, to ask for support from the board, to report to the board, and then the board can then provide them support moving forward. So you need to be able to put these board members as leaders of these committees, because of course you're going to have officers, volunteers, and stakeholders within these committees, so that they can be a direct link from the committee back to the board, thereby helping you achieve your desired results. So putting them in position of leadership is one key aspect to ensure that they are equipped and empowered to help you create the results you seek. And then lastly, providing them ongoing support and follow-up. So you don't just put out, your committees or delegate responsibilities and leave them. Although I'm a big fan of saying when you delegate completely. Don't delegate and still try to be in charge of the process. Delegate and provide support in the process. So, for example, a board member is supposed to introduce, the organization to their network. You can provide ongoing support by following up, asking questions. What help do you need to be able to introduce the organization? What support do you need? What's holding you back? How can you create, better results with the delegates, with the responsibilities we've given to you? By providing that one-on-one support, especially from the leader of the board, the CEO, you are ensuring that these board members are more likely to follow through because they know they have all the support they need to be able to take on the responsibilities you've delegated to them. So it is very important that you are able to, delegate these responsibilities, right? Inaugurate these committees, but that does not stop there. You have to be able to empower and equip these board members to be able to create results. How do you empower them? By equipping them with the tools, infrastructures, and resources they need to be successful, by onboarding them on the tools so that they know how to use the tools that's available to them, by training them so that they know how to execute the process seamlessly, by bringing in volunteers, stakeholders, and officers to support within these committees so that they can take off the heavy the heavy task of the committees, and then the board members can provide supervisory and top level assistance by putting them in a place of leadership within these committees so that they can report back to the board, and the board has direct link to the committees. And lastly, by providing ongoing support and follow-up so that they are successful. So that's all I have for you today. Of course, I'm going to be coming on here tomorrow to talk about how to put accountability in place so that these guys follow through, right? We've been able to support them, we've been able to provide them everything they need to go through, but of course, there also has to be accountability. Without putting accountability in place, you are most likely not going to see that these guys follow through. 70% they follow through, and then you have 30% who are lacking behind. But with accountability processes in place, you are most likely to have 100% or even a 90% follow through, and thereby giving you a better result for your organization. And lastly, do not forget, always remember to set expectations. Without expectations, they have nothing to reach for. So when you set expectations, you let your board member have something they can reach for, thereby creating better success for their organization. So until I talk to you again, it's gonna be bye and bye.